Now we'll have a look at Booleans and nil. We need those to take decisions in our programs and to control the program logic. And that's what we'll be looking into next. In Ruby, true and false are the Boolean values. It is important to know that all values other than false and nil are truthy. So if we are looking for a true value and we encounter false or nil, we actually have a falsy value, but all other values are truthy. So true is truthy, false and nil are falsy. Nil is used to indicate the absence of a value. We saw it in an earlier episode of the screencast already when we looked at arrays and hash map entries. And if we didn't have the corresponding index in the array or hash map, then Ruby will return nil rather than throwing an exception. So if we look at whether the empty array is in fact empty, we will receive the value true. And if we ask whether the empty array is nil, we will receive the value false. As operators, Ruby offers the usual suspects for Booleans. So we have the logical AND, which can be written as two ampersands or the word AND. We should remember that the two ampersand binds stronger than the regular AND. Similarly, two bars indicate OR, and so does the word OR, but again, the two bars bind stronger than the keyword OR. The bang symbol, or the word NOT, is the logical NOT. And we can also obtain Boolean values by comparisons. So if we use two equal signs to compare two variables in this case, then we are asking the question whether the content of these variables is equal. If we use the equal method, we are asking whether A and B are the same object. So this is a little bit different from what you're used to in Java. So it's best to experiment a little bit with the double equality sign and the equals method to find out what the equality is that you're actually using. At the IRB, we can calculate true and false, which should give us false. We can also use the string Bilbo in a calculation like this, and we can ask whether Bilbo and Baggins are true. And what we see is that Ruby actually returns the second operand of the AND operator here, which in this case is Baggins. We can also do true or false, which is the same thing as false or true. We can use the NOT operator, and we get back true if we apply it to false. We can also apply it to nil, and we return true again. Remember, false and nil are the only falsy values. Everything else is a truthy value. Now we can compare two strings, let's say the string Bilbo and the string Bilbo in single quotes. And because the double equality sign asks for whether the two objects have the same content, here we see true. If, however, we ask Bilbo dot equal This time we receive the result false because we have actually two different objects. Remember from the previous screencast that these two strings are two different string objects, and the equal method asks whether these are the same object, which in this case comes out as false. Ruby performs short circuit evaluation on and or. And so if we have the expression false and a, it will always return false, and a is never evaluated even. And similarly, if you have true or a, this automatically returns true without evaluating a. And this gives rise to a common idiom, which you'll see in Ruby. An idiom is a recurring coding pattern in Ruby. So you will see an evaluation or an expression x, and then x is used, let's say, as the recipient of a message. And what this means is that x will only be called upon if it actually has a non-nil value.